Bonjour. Bonjour les amis. Bonjour, bonjour. I am taking a walk in a favorite place of mine, not too far from my neighborhood. In fact, it's become a very important place in my life whenever I need some peace and a nice walk at the same time. It's a little windy and I don't have my microphone. I just have this little thing with me, so I hope it won't pick up too much of the wind. Do you recognize this place? It's a little hard. Yes, it's a cemetery. Bonjour, bonjour. I see you pop in. Impromptu stroll. I took a walk and thought you might enjoy seeing some of this. Bonjour, Ireland. Bonjour, Missy. Bonjour, Ross. I see all of you pop up. So this is the Montmartre Cemetery, one of the 4 large cemeteries in Paris, built in the early 19th century. I don't know if you have seen or watched the video I filmed here in the fall during the second French lockdown, when I couldn't really stray away from my apartment. And I came here, and I came here a lot actually during the second confinement, because I moved to the 17th arrondissement in October, and this was within my perimeter, my radius, 1 kilometer radius. And so I would come here and walk around and find some peace and learn too, because there's so much to learn in those beautiful cemeteries. So this is the 3rd largest in Paris, after the famous one, the Père Lachaise. And then the Montparnasse Cemetery, the 2nd largest. Finally, this one, the Montmartre Cemetery. I also took you on a stroll, a pre-recorded stroll to the other Montmartre Cemetery, which is known as Saint-Vincent, which sits at the top of La Butte, the Montmartre Hill. And that's an unusual one. That one is really quiet. So if you want to catch those 2 guided walks that I did, you need to go back to the Friends with Véro YouTube channel and check them out. The replays are there, or the videos are there, I should say, because they were not live. And you will hear a lot of interesting stories about the people, famous or not, that can be found both in this cemetery, the Montmartre Cemetery, and the Saint-Vincent Cemetery. So time to fess up that today has been a pretty challenging day for a variety of reasons. And I wasn't planning on a walk this afternoon, but the snow is actually in the forecast for Saturday. And I thought I had work to do, but I just had to get out and get some fresh air and clear my mind, clear my head. And when you live in the 17th cemetery, there are a few neighborhoods where you can take a stroll. I went to the Parc Monceau yesterday, and some of you caught me there. And today I decided to come to the Montmartre Cemetery. I actually come here about once a week. It's one of my favorite walks in the neighborhood, or not too far from my neighborhood. And I always follow a different route. So today I thought I would take a different route from the one I took you on in this video guided tour I did in the fall during the lockdown, and maybe explore the end of the cemetery, where I couldn't really go during the lockdown because it would have put me way away from my radius, my 1 kilometer radius. So I am in that section today, and I thought I would look for someone I know is around here because I have taken a photo of his grave before. I haven't seen any of the cats. No, you know the Montmartre Cemetery is famous for its wild cat community that is taken care of by an army of volunteers. I met these guys about 4 or 5 years ago and got some information about the association that takes care of the cats and met some of them. They're pretty friendly, these people, but they also keep to themselves. The cats are nowhere to be seen, but I'm not in the right section for the cats. We might see them in the other section if my cell phone battery lasts that long, because heads up, since I wasn't planning to do this, I only have less than half a battery, so heads up, just in case we get cut off. Now the trees are completely barren now. Last time I filmed here, we had beautiful fall colors, if you recall, but no more. So let me see. I think my friend is somewhere around here. When I say my friend, just someone I have a lot of respect for, and if you've followed me for a while, you know that already. Fogged up glasses really help. Not. Let's see. Look at this Parisian site here. Those Haussmannian type buildings. And this beautiful chapel here. This cemetery, the Montmartre Cemetery, often gets compared to the Père Lachaise because it's not flat either, and you do have a lot of beautiful sculptures and chapels that can go from the most ornate, like this one, to very simple chapels like the one you see over there. Let's see, where would he be? This is it. Look at this old grave. And this one completely covered in ivy. Bonjour les amis, I see you pop up. I think it might be this one. See the color? A few geraniums survived. These are really summer flowers here, but they survived the winter, and it's just one spot of color. Yeah, there he is. This is the grave of a man who was very well known in Montmartre. His name was Francisque Poulbeau, Poulbot. He was an illustrator, a patriot, and a philanthropist who did a lot for the poor children of Montmartre, because Montmartre was a long time ago a very, very poor neighborhood. And during World War I, he campaigned relentlessly to help the poor kids of Montmartre whose fathers had been killed during the conflict. And if you've ever watched the series I did on Instagram last spring, which is called Apéro with Véro, I dedicated a whole episode to Francisque Poulbeau and the children of Montmartre. And I encourage you to head out to YouTube, the Friends with Véro YouTube channel, to hear more about this wonderful gentleman. So there are a couple of people I enjoy visiting here. Francisque Poulbeau is one of them. I will be reading your comments in detail later. I see some of them scroll by, but as you know, not all of them. One thing I like in this cemetery is that it never gets as crowded as some of the other ones, like the Père Lachaise. That's of course a huge tourist attraction. Yep, didn't. Since this is impromptu, I did not check cell coverage in this area, so I apologize if the quality goes up and down. These are the challenges of live streaming, as you know. I don't typically walk on this side. Oh, here's somebody I know. Fredericks, Now, if there are some fans of Jean-Jacques Goldman out there, Jean-Jacques Goldman, the famous French artist, singer, who was really big in the 80s and 90s. Carol Fredericks is a great artist, American woman, great artist in her own right. And for a while, she did collaborate with Goldman. They had a small group, a small band called Fredericks, her name, Goldman, and Jones, from Michael Jones, the guitar player. And unfortunately, she died pretty young, and this is where she's buried. Rest in peace, Carol Fredericks. Great lady, beautiful voice. Oh, beautiful light here. Thank you very much. So it's always interesting in these cemeteries to look everywhere, because the people who are buried there might not be famous, at least to us. But there's always an architectural detail, a story to dig out if you're interested in doing that. Ah, cell coverage probably, huh? You're telling me the video is not working so well. Bonjour les amis, bonjour. Walking through the Montmartre Cemetery to get fresh air and exercise. And I know the cell signal isn't great, I apologize. But I didn't plan for this, so this is what you get. It's working fine again, great. I'm glad to hear it. Yes, the light is beautiful. What time is it now? It's about, was it 4 o'clock? I forgot what time it is. Now, I have a confession to make. I probably like cemeteries a little bit more than other people because my maternal grandmother, her first name was André, and it's one of my middle names, used to take my brother and me through the local cemetery in the small town where she lived in Metz, southern France, not too far from Montpellier, by the Étang de Thau, which is a beautiful lagoon. And we would go and visit my grandfather. I never knew him. But on the way to his grave, she would literally stop and point out people from their small town, from the village, and tell my brother and me the stories, whether they were adults when they died, seniors, or children. And I guess I owe her big time, because to me, coming to a cemetery is not a sad thing. It's people with stories, and telling the stories is a great way of remembering them. And ever since then, ever since my childhood, I've loved visiting cemeteries. And this is one of my favorites, probably. Look at this great sight. We are standing on a little, kind of a small hill. So you basically overlook, look at the sky, this light, beautiful. I hope the connection's decent for you now so you can enjoy this too. There's nothing I can do about it, but this is a nice place to stand right here when you're high up. So yeah, I owe my grandmother big time for showing me that cemeteries were not sad places. Not always. When I returned to Metz in southern France, where she lived, and she has been resting with my grandfather for many years now, I will return to the cemetery, and I bet I can still find my way around. You see how many chapels there are? This is a cemetery that has really, really nice architecture. Oh, I see a beautiful statue here. Look. This is really pretty. The gentleman, I think it's a gentleman, Roard, F. Roard et sa famille. Everywhere you look, that's why it's so nice to come here. There's always something to look at, and then whatever's been on your mind, stress, whatever, you come here and it makes you focus on something else and other people. And then you forget about the bad news and you forget about the stress, which is why I love walking in cemeteries. Look at this one. Isn't that pretty? So I'm just following the pathway. I have no plan in mind. I'll keep walking for a little while and then I'll wrap up. I was planning to go on the other side, but I'm not sure I'm in the right direction. We'll see. I know there'll be something to look at no matter what. I see you sharing your impressions of cemeteries and special memories of cemeteries. I'll go back later and read them as always. Look at this one. How romantic. The family name is here. Kamienski. People are buried in the chapels. You have levels in the chapels underground, and they are just a little fancier than regular graves. So let's see, where does that take me? Well, I'm sure I won't get lost. I'm somewhere in Paris, aren't I? Oh, I see stairs. Yeah. Going back down here. Oh, this is a great view. Perfect. Le hasard fait bien les choses. Fate sometimes interferes in a good way. Here's a nice row actually of those chapels, you see? Look. This is like they've lined them up against this wall. So this is a really nice cemetery because there's a lot of variety in terms of the structures. So this will complement nicely the guided tour I did here, the video guided tour I uploaded on YouTube that you can go back to later, because you will get to see a different section of the cemetery with a few famous people. Going downstairs without falling if possible. If you've just joined, I'm just taking a walk through the Montmartre Cemetery, one of my favorite destinations when I need to clear my head and get some exercise from my apartment in the 17th arrondissement. Stairs and more stairs. You could be in here for a few hours and not see everything, I think. Though it's not as big as the Père Lachaise. And this is, Paris is not the only city that has cemeteries like this. You can see this in many other cities and villages and towns in France. In fact, the one I was talking about when my grandmother used to take us in the small town named Meze, M-E-Z-E, in southern France, was very southern, because if you looked around, you would have seen the blue skies. And on the backdrop of the blue skies, not these trees, but cypress, tall, thin cypress trees, the kind you see in Provence in southern France. So you would know you were in southern France. So each region will have different trees and oh, look at this one. Let's hope my battery holds up. If it cuts off suddenly, it could be the battery. But I'll keep going for a little while since you're enjoying this, and I see over 120 people are here. Yep. From this side. You see how some of them are really massive, huh? Like this one. This man, the gentleman, Paul Derval, it says he was the director of the famous Folies Bergère Theatre. And he was awarded, oh my goodness, look at the list of awards, including the Legion of Honor. Here's another massive one. Now, I'm happy I was able to find Francisque Poulbeau again and show him to you, show his grave, which by the way is very sad for a gentleman who loved to color and illustrate and describe the life in working class neighborhoods in Montmartre and the children of Montmartre. I think it's very sad they buried him under a grave that's just gray and lacks color. It's very sad. Yes, François Truffaut is nearby. I may or may not find him, but if I find the person I'm looking for, he will be nearby. That I know. I've seen him before. Maybe I should... Oh, there she is. That means Truffaut is not far from here. This is who I wanted to see. This is the great actress Jeanne Moreau. Jules et Jim, and a whole lot of other movies from the 60s in particular. The great Jeanne Moreau, who passed away fairly recently in 2017, and she is buried here next to her son, Jérôme, who died 2 years ago, actually in 2019, so just 2 years after she did. That's pretty sad. And look at the light, late afternoon light before snow rolls in. Isn't this pretty? Bonjour, Mademoiselle Morrow. You know that there's a tradition in the French theater. You always call an actress Mademoiselle, even if she's married. Mademoiselle, always. Let's see if we can find your friend Francois Truffaut. Somebody requested Francois Truffaut, and I know he's nearby. The great French filmmaker. Let's see. There he is. This is him right here. Very plain, you see. Here's his name. I don't know if you can read. It's very hard to show you the name on this. The trees. Maybe if I do this. Can you see Francois Truffaut? He died in 1984. Great influence, big name in French cinema. There he is. You're welcome, David. My pleasure. Oh yeah, I knew he was next to the headless statue. See? If you look for Francois Truffaut in the Montmartre Cemetery, look for the headless statue and you'll find him. It's very soggy. Let's see. How about I go... Well, I guess I can continue that way. Why not? Yes, it's a pretty afternoon. It was really bright this morning, but I was stuck at home waiting for a repairman. Wasn't very successful at working, though I had work to do. So I was bummed because I couldn't enjoy the sun this morning, and now the clouds are rolling in. I don't know what happened to the head of the statue, Missy. I don't know. I don't think it was beheaded. Maybe it was, who knows. One of the mysteries of the Montmartre Cemetery. So this is a cool cemetery because there's a bridge crossing it. Le Pont Caulaincourt. You see that bridge over there? And that's what connects the 17th arrondissement to the right, to the Montmartre, to the Butte de Montmartre. Huh? So if you follow the bridge like this, you are in Montmartre and you go up, basically, up the hill. And so the cemetery is partly built under the bridge, which is very unique. Wow, almost 130 of you. Thank you for sticking with me in spite of the cell coverage issues. A lot of French cemeteries are ornate like this, yes. Oh look, we found Berlioz and we weren't even a musician, we weren't even looking for him. Hector Berlioz is here. Passed away in 1869. The last year of the Second Empire, right before Napoleon III got defeated and the Republic was established again. This is un tronc. You see the word T-R-O-N-C? Tronc, you don't pronounce the C. So tronc is for the poor people of Paris. So you can leave some money in it. And it's administered by l'Assistance Publique. Welcome if you just joined us. You can watch the replay as soon as I come off the air. Quite impromptu. Thought you'd enjoy sharing my stroll at the beautiful Montmartre Cemetery. I just want to show you how the cemetery is built. Oh, low battery signal, so I should be careful. I'll be wrapping up pretty shortly. You're going to see how it's built under the bridge. That's what I told you about just a few minutes ago. Let's go past these vehicles so you can see. You see, this is the Pont Caulaincourt that takes you to Montmartre, behind me. And you see the graves are right under it. And it was added in the 1880s. So after the cemetery, quite a few years after the cemetery opened. I think this will be a great place to wrap up. This little roundabout, rond-point. Avec plaisir, Missy. Thank you for keeping me company on my walk. My head feels a lot clearer now. And the quick walk home will provide the rest of the exercise I was looking for. How about we finish here? This looks great. See the Pont Caulaincourt? Quick hello. Bonjour les amis. In person, face mask on. I hope you've enjoyed the stroll. Impromptu stroll. I'm not doing a live stream stroll this weekend because I'm working on a project for my club members on Sunday. So this was a little bonus. This one and the one you got yesterday from Le Parc Monceau. It was my pleasure and I hope you've enjoyed it too. Let's see. I will wrap up. Duck. How about this? This beautiful structure here. With the elegant gentleman walking our way with his cane and his hat. You see him? Thank you. New haircut, yes. Easy. À bientôt, mes amis. I wish you a great weekend. Wonderful weekend, and I will see some of you on Zoom on Sunday, my club members, for a presentation on the beautiful cathedral in Tours, Loire Valley. À bientôt.